This video is not meant to reach 1 million people, but it's only meant to reach a very specific audience. Because if you've clicked on this video, you've probably clicked on this video because you have made the experience of chasing money for a long time, but not getting anything in return. And every entrepreneur has that. Every business owner has that. Whether you're at 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K, 100K a month, whether you're at $500 a month, whether you're at bottom, like the rock bottom zero, it happens to anyone over and over again. And when you check yourself, you realize, you correct yourself, and then you start making money again. And I want to explain to you exactly what it is that prevents you from making money if you're chasing money. And you will understand after this video and you'll think, now I know what to do. I want to tell you a story. A couple of weeks ago, I was at the gym. I was finished with my workout and I went to the pool. This is going to sound weird. I'm on Bali, so every single gym here has a pool and a sauna and ice bath and yada yada yada. I went to the pool and I laid down on one sunbed randomly out of 9 that were left. And I laid down, went to the pool, and a random person just decided to lay down next to me on that bed. I wasn't at the bed anymore, so the person did not see me. The person did not know who I was. So I went back to my bed, we got into a conversation, and it happened to be that that person has a huge info business, and he scaled his info business with paid ads, but now he's actually trying to get into organic YouTube in order to scale his organic YouTube. It happens to be that I'm an entrepreneur who scaled a creator to 120,000 subscribers on YouTube within 6 months' time. And I helped this man win the school games, and I've turned this guy into a literal millionaire. He now owns a 7-figure business. He's making a fuck ton of money. And there were 2 ways that I could have gone down this path. I'm first going to tell you what I did, and then I'm going to tell you what I would have done if I would have chased money and why I would have not profited out of the situation. Let me explain to you what happened. He wanted advice from me. He asked me what he should do and how we should scale his YouTube because he's having these bottlenecks. I gave him 2 pieces of advice. He applied one of them and he applied the second one. And after 2 weeks, he texted me back. He texted me, "Hey Tolu, I applied both of your pieces of advice. We made more sales, more revenue, and more views. I would like to talk to you about possibly working with you." Now, at this point, he and his business partner made, I think, north of $10,000, maybe $20,000. I don't know. But they're very high ticket, which means they made a lot of money. And if they already made $10,000, why should they not pay me $9,000 for my consulting now? If one piece of advice made them $10,000, why should they not give me $9,000 of those to get my support for the next few months, to possibly make 100, 200, 300, or 400K additional to what they're making every single month? There really is no reason. And we made that deal, and now we're working together. So I couldn't care less about that deal closing. I didn't ask him. I basically just gave him everything that I have completely free of charge. And that is why the deal closed. I was detached. That is what you call the detachment paradox. When you detach from something, when you don't grip too tightly, things just work out for you. And you could call it fate, you could call it God, you could call it frequencies or anything. But I think it's just simply because of human psychology. If you think at what would have happened if I would have gripped too tightly in this situation, well, then you would be 100% aware of why chasing money does not make you money. Imagine I would have sat in that situation and I would have really needed that money. Let's say I would have spent my last dollar in Bali on this cool gym with a pool and a sauna and an ice bath, and I would have been down to, all right, maybe my last $100. I think, holy shit, I need to pay rent, I need to do this, I need to do that. Some of you may be in this situation, other of you might just need to cover overhead costs, or you might just be greedy, which is pretty possible in business because it just happens sometimes. What would have happened would have been, but I would have sat in front of that person and I would have tried to sell him something. I would have thought, oh, wait, I've scaled somebody in info. I've scaled a YouTube channel to 120K subscribers. I've made it happen. We can work together. I can make you guys a lot of money. You guys should really check out my offer. I can send you all the details. And probably out of respect, he would have told me, yeah, sure, send me your deliverables and your price and we'll think about it. But I didn't. And the reason why was because if you let somebody know, or if you're too pushy when it comes to making a sale, the person will automatically know that you need that sale. And if you need that sale, it means that your service is not good. Because if it were good, you wouldn't need to push it, because it would sell itself. And that is why chasing money does not make you money. This applies to everything. It applies to the copy that you write. It applies to the videos that you film. It applies to the reels that you put out. It applies to the way you talk, the things you say, how you say them. It applies to the way you sell. Every single element in your life will be influenced by you chasing money. That is what you call the detachment paradox. Same as with women. Every single man has made the experience of chasing a woman and getting rejected because you were chasing her. You fumbled the bag. So, question is, how do you handle that? Because it's easy for me to tell you, oh yeah, just stop chasing money. Maybe you need that money right now. And you're thinking like, what the fuck are you talking about, Tolu? Like, I need the money. Like, I need to chase money right now. There's a quote that says, I don't know the quote, but I'm just going to paraphrase it. The one person who will always win a deal is always the person who has other options outside of a deal. What I'm trying to say is, a lot of people out there will tell you, you need to quit your job, you need to go all in, you need to go straight forward, you need to scale as fast as possible, but you shouldn't. You see, that is very optimistic. Whether you're in business, whether you're aspiring to be in business, or whether you're already making millions and millions and millions of dollars, you will always stand in front of the decision whether you go all in or not. And the truth is, oftentimes you shouldn't. It sounds weird because it's very, very different to what people tell you online. They'll tell you need to go all in. You need to escape the matrix or some bullshit. Vice Admiral James Stockdale, a US Navy officer and Vietnam War prisoner. You see, that officer got his plane shot down once when he was over Vietnam, and he needed to eject out of a plane and pull his parachute, and he was falling down. And you see, back then, during that time, parachutes didn't have the option to move forward or into any directions, but you basically just fell slower. So you didn't have any option to direct or to move anywhere else. And once he looked down, he realized that there was a whole battalion of Vietnamese soldiers who were just waiting for him and aiming all his guns at him. So it was sure that he was going to be captured, and he was. And he was actually a survivor of that prison. And when he came out of that prison, there was one quote that he shared with everyone, and that quote was, "Optimists die first." The reason why he said that is because when he went to prison, there were two types of people: the optimists and the pessimists, actually. You see, the optimists and the pessimists were actually very different. The pessimists had a very high chance of surviving, and the optimists died first. Reason why is because if you look at how the optimists acted, the optimists would come into that prison and they'd think, wait, like, we're gonna survive. Somebody's going to come and he's going to save us in the next 1 to 2 to 3 months. The US is going to win that war and we are going to escape. Well, they didn't. It took them a lot of time in order to end the war, and they didn't get saved in 1 to 2 to 3 years. It took a lot of time, a very, very, very long time. So they ended up dying. And the reason why was because they weren't prepared. They thought, I don't need to find friends. I don't need to protect myself. I don't need to eat well. I don't need to do this. I don't need to get along with the officials of a prison. I'm going to be okay because I'm going to be saved anyway in 1 to 2 to 3 months. They weren't saved. So they either died because they misbehaved inside the prison, or they died because they didn't have any friends. So they were basically alone. The pessimists survived. And they survived because of a very simple reason. They knew that they wouldn't be saved. So they prepared for 6, 12, 18, 24, 36 months of literally staying inside that prison. So they found friends and they made themselves comfortable in that situation, and they learned how to survive inside that prison because they thought, we are never going to be saved. And if we are going to be saved, it is going to take years, a lot of years. It is the same in business. You're not a war prisoner, but the parallels here, or the parallel aspect here, is that you basically need to survive longer than anybody else in business, and you need to make sure that you have options in order to do this business stuff for even longer, because you cannot control certain things. You can tell yourself, I'm going to make this amount of money in the next few months, but how are you going to know? Maybe your leads are going to be bad. Maybe your clients don't close. Maybe you're going to lose a lot of clients just because they don't want to focus on business anymore. Maybe your top client is going to find out that his wife is pregnant, so he's going to drop. He's going to say, hey, I want to focus on providing for my wife. I'm going to be there for her. And now your client is gone, and your goal of making X amount of money in X amount of months is basically demolished. But if you look at that situation of your top client becoming a dad, looking at it in the next 5 years, it is basically obsolete. Because if you look at it on a perspective of the next 5 years, you will have found more and more and more and more clients in the next 5 years, and your goal will happen anyway. So what I'm trying to say is, stop chasing money. Give yourself a longer and broader time scale on which you can operate, and you will definitely win. But sometimes it's just not the way that you would like it to be. And there are a lot of reasons why you want to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. But most of the time, it is not healthy. Most of the time, you want to make a lot of money in a very short amount of time because you want to prove something to somebody, because you want to prove something to yourself, or even just because you're suffering from anxiety. You might be anxious that this thing that you're trying to do is not going to work out, whatever endeavor it may be. But still, it's not in your control. So there's not really a point in chasing it, because you're just going to repel it with your copy, your words, what you say, how you say it, and every single aspect in your life, and every single way that you represent yourself, even the things you wear, the things you say, the way you look, the way you hold yourself on the street, and the way you talk to other people, and the way you present your product to other people. Every single aspect will be affected to a point where chasing money will not make you money. Bye-bye.